The smell hit me first: garlic butter, aged wine, and something darker underneath, like expensive cigars and secrets. I pressed my palm against the heavy oak door of Chateau Noir, the most exclusive restaurant in the city, and tried to steady my breathing. My reflection stared back at me from the polished brass handle. Hollow cheeks, secondhand black dress that hung too loose on my frame, dark circles I'd tried to cover with drugstore concealer. First day. I needed this job more than I needed air. Inside, crystal chandeliers scattered light across white tablecloths like stars. The carpet beneath my worn shoes was so thick I almost stumbled. Everything gleamed: silverware, wine glasses, the faces of people who'd never known hunger. I clutched my small purse tighter, feeling the weight of my last $23 inside. "You're the new girl?" A woman in a crisp suit materialized beside me, her perfume sharp and clinical. "I'm Madame Leclerc, front-of-house manager. You're late. I'm sorry, the bus. We don't make excuses here. We make impressions." Her eyes traveled down my dress, lingering on the frayed hem. "That will have to do for today. Tomorrow, find something better. Follow me." The kitchen was chaos. Flames leaping, knives flashing, voices barking orders in French and English. She thrust an apron at me, black and heavy with the restaurant's gold emblem. Section 3. Tables 12 through 18. Smile. Don't speak unless spoken to. Don't touch the guests. Don't ask questions. Clear? I nodded, tying the apron with trembling fingers. "And one more thing." Her voice dropped, eyes narrowing. "Whatever you see, whoever you see, you forget the moment you leave. Understood?" Something cold slithered down my spine. "Yes, ma'am." The evening began as a blur of orders I struggled to memorize, wine names I couldn't pronounce, and sidelong glances from the other servers who'd already marked me as temporary. My feet ached within an hour. The tray felt like iron in my arms. But I smiled. I nodded. I survived. Until table 15. I was balancing 4 plates of duck confit when I saw him, an elderly man in a wheelchair near the kitchen corridor, struggling to reach something he'd dropped. His cane had rolled too far. His weathered hands shook as he tried to lean forward, his face contorting with pain and frustration. Everyone swept past him. The other servers, the sommelier, even Madame Leclerc glanced away as if he were invisible. My mother's voice echoed in my memory. "We help when we can, Mija, always." I set down my tray and knelt beside him, retrieving the cane before he could strain further. Up close, I saw the expensive cut of his suit, the gold watch on his wrist, the faded tattoo barely visible on his hand, some kind of crown or crest. "Here, sir." I placed the cane carefully in his palm. His eyes met mine, sharp gray, nothing fragile about them despite his body's betrayal. For a moment, he simply stared, as if I'd done something unthinkable. "Thank you," he said finally, his accent thick, Eastern European maybe. "You are new. First day." I managed a smile despite the exhaustion pulling at me. "Your name?" "Elena. Elena Morales." Something flickered across his face. Recognition, approval. Before I could decipher it, a shadow fell over us. I looked up and forgot how to breathe. The man standing there was a study in controlled violence, tall, broad-shouldered beneath a charcoal suit that probably cost more than my entire year's rent. Black hair swept back, jawline sharp enough to cut, and eyes. God, those eyes. Dark as midnight and twice as dangerous. 2 men flanked him, earpieces visible, hands resting near their jackets in a way that made my skin prickle, but it was the air around him that truly terrified me. Power radiated from him like heat from asphalt in summer. Everyone in the corridor seemed to shrink back without actually moving. "Papa." His voice was low, smooth, with an edge that suggested it could slice through steel. His gaze hadn't left me. "Is there a problem?" "No problem, Dante." The elderly man's tone held surprising warmth. "This young lady helped me. Everyone else." He waved dismissively. "Dante." Even the name felt dangerous in my mouth. "Did she?" It wasn't a question. Those dark eyes traveled over me. My cheap dress, my worn shoes, my trembling hands, cataloging everything with predatory precision. "And you are?" "Elena Morales, sir. I'm a waitress here. I'm sorry if I overstepped. You didn't." The elderly man, his father apparently, smiled. "She has manners, Dante, unlike the others here. Manners can be taught. Loyalty cannot." Dante's words seemed directed at me, but his eyes flicked to his security detail. One of them stepped forward, murmuring something I couldn't hear. Whatever it was made Dante's jaw tighten. "We're late. Papa, your medication." "I'm fine." But the elderly man's hand trembled again, and I saw it. The slight grimace of pain he tried to hide. Without thinking, I moved to his wheelchair. "The private dining room is quieter. Less strain. If you'd like, I could—" "No." Dante's voice cracked like a whip. I froze. "No one touches my father except authorized personnel." Heat flooded my face. "I apologize. I only wanted—" "What you want is irrelevant." He stepped closer, and I caught his scent. Sandalwood, whiskey, and something metallic I couldn't place. Gunpowder, maybe. "Return to your station. Now." I scrambled up, but the elderly man caught my wrist with surprising strength. His skin was paper-thin, spotted with age, but his grip was firm. "Dante," he said quietly. "She meant well. That's what they all say before they plant a knife in your back." But Dante pulled out his phone, typing something rapidly. "Leclerc, now." Madame Leclerc appeared within seconds, her face pale. "Mr. Volkov, how may I—" "This waitress. She's assigned to us tonight. Private room 7. No one else enters." My stomach dropped. Private room 7 was whispered about among the staff, the room where dangerous people conducted dangerous business, where girls sometimes emerged with envelopes full of cash and hollow eyes. "Of course, Mr. Volkov. Elena, you'll—" "No," the word burst from my lips before I could stop it. 3 sets of eyes turned to me. "I'm new. I don't know the protocols. Surely someone more experienced—" "I didn't ask for your opinion." Dante's voice dropped to something darker, something that made my knees weak. "You involved yourself with my father. Now you'll finish what you started." "Dante," his father said again, firmer this time, "you're frightening the girl. Good. Fear keeps people honest." But even as he said it, his expression shifted slightly. A flash of something that might have been curiosity or assessment. He stepped back, creating space between us that somehow felt more dangerous than his proximity. "Private room 7. 30 minutes. Do not speak of what you see or hear. Do not make eye contact with my associates. Do not serve anyone until my father has been served first. Do you understand?" I nodded, not trusting my voice. "Words, Elena." Hearing my name in his mouth felt like a brand. "Yes, I understand. Good." He turned to his security. "Victor, background check. Full workup. I want to know everything by the time dinner ends." Then to his father. "Let's go." They moved past me, Dante's shoulder brushing mine for just a second. But that second was enough to feel the coiled violence in him, the barely leashed danger. One of his security guards remained behind, dark eyes fixed on me with the focus of a predator marking prey. Madame Leclerc gripped my elbow hard enough to bruise. "What did I tell you about not making impressions? I was just helping—" "Dante Volkov doesn't need help. He doesn't want kindness. He wants obedience." She yanked me toward the kitchen. "Do you have any idea who that was? Do you understand what you've done?" My heart hammered against my ribs. "Who is he?" She laughed, high and brittle. "If you have to ask, you're already in too deep. Get yourself together. They want you in 30 minutes. Don't be late. Don't be stupid. And for the love of God, don't look him in the eye unless he tells you to." She released me and disappeared into the dining room, leaving me swaying beside a prep station. One of the line cooks glanced over, pity clear on his weathered face. "Volkov family," he muttered in a thick accent. "Russian bratva. You help old man, yes?" "Yes." He dropped his cane. The cook shook his head slowly. "Kind heart, stupid move. Dante Volkov, he owns half this city. Police, judges, politicians, all in pocket. You know what bratva means?" I shook my head. "Brotherhood. Mafia." He made a throat-cutting gesture. "Very dangerous men. And Dante? He is most dangerous. They say he killed first man at 15, his own uncle, for betraying family. Ice flooded my veins. That's just a rumor, right? The cook's expression said everything his words didn't. I spent the next 30 minutes in the bathroom, splashing water on my face, trying to slow my racing pulse. In the mirror, I looked smaller than ever, a mouse caught in a trap of my own making. I'd only wanted to help. Wasn't that what decent people did? But Madame Leclerc's words echoed. Whatever you see, whoever you see, you forget the moment you leave. What had I walked into? When I finally made my way to private room 7, my hands were steadier, but my heart felt like a war drum. The door was solid mahogany, guarded by one of Dante's men, the one called Victor, built like a tank in an expensive suit. He eyed me coldly. Phone. What? Your phone. Hand it over. With shaking fingers, I retrieved my ancient smartphone from my apron. He examined it, did something with a small device that beeped, then pocketed it. You get it back when you leave. Any recordings? Any photos? You don't leave at all. Clear? I nodded. He opened the door. The private room was smaller than I expected, but infinitely more opulent. Walls paneled in dark wood. A single table set with silver and crystal, gas fireplace casting flickering shadows. And there, at the head of the table, sat Dante Volkov. He'd removed his jacket. His white shirt was rolled to his elbows, revealing forearms roped with muscle and scattered with scars. A tumbler of amber liquid sat before him. His father occupied the wheelchair beside him, looking frailer in the firelight, but somehow more regal too. 4 other men sat around the table, older, harder, faces carved from granite and violence. Every single one of them turned to look at me as I entered. The door closed behind me with a soft click that sounded like a gunshot. Come here. Dante's command left no room for refusal. I approached on legs that barely held me, stopping a respectful distance from the table. Up close, I could see the details the corridor had hidden. A thin scar cutting through his left eyebrow, the slight crook in his nose as if it had been broken and reset, the way his fingers drummed against the table in a pattern that seemed like code. Pour for my father first. Wine. The Chateau Margaux, not the Bordeaux. I found the bottle on the sidebar, heavy and cold in my hands. The label was in French, the year 1995. I'd never held anything so expensive. One wrong move, and I'd owe more than I could earn in 6 months. Moving to the elderly man's side, I poured carefully, watching the dark red liquid catch the firelight. His gray eyes met mine again, and this time there was approval in them. Thank you, dear child. You're welcome, sir. My name is Mikhail, he said gently. You may call me that. Papa. Dante's voice held warning. She helped me, Dante. She deserves courtesy. Mikhail's tone turned sharp, something you seem to have forgotten in your quest to intimidate everyone. The other men at the table remained statue still, but I sensed their attention sharpening, waiting to see how Dante would respond to this challenge. He simply smiled, an expression that didn't reach his eyes. Of course, Papa. Courtesy. He looked at me. Pour for everyone else, then stand by the wall, silent, invisible. I obeyed, moving around the table, feeling the weight of each man's gaze. One of them, gray-haired with cold blue eyes, let his stare linger on my neck. Another examined my hands as if checking for weapons. When I finished, I retreated to the wall as instructed, hands clasped, eyes down. Now, Dante said, his voice taking on a different quality, harder, businesslike. About the Marino situation. In front of her? Gray hair interrupted. Dante's smile widened. She's been background checked. Single mother, works 3 jobs, lives in the Narrows. No criminal record, no connections. She's nobody. And even if she weren't. He finally looked directly at me, and I felt the threat in his gaze like a physical touch. She knows what happens to people who talk. Don't you, Elena? My throat was dust. Yes, sir. Good girl. The words should have been patronizing. Instead, they sent an unwanted shiver down my spine. They began talking about territories, shipments, payments owed. I tried not to listen, focusing on the pattern in the wallpaper, the crackling fire, Anything but the details of criminal enterprise unfolding before me, but I couldn't unhear everything. Names, dates, locations. It accumulated in my mind like poison. Then Mikhail's hand trembled again, his wine glass slipping. I moved without thinking, catching it before it could fall, steadying his arm with my other hand. The room went silent. Dante rose slowly from his chair, and the temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. I said, he breathed, "Do not touch my father." "I'm sorry, he was going to drop... Victor." The door opened. The massive guard appeared. "Take her to my office. I'll deal with her after dinner." Terror exploded in my chest. "Please, I was only trying to help." "That's your problem, Elena." Dante moved around the table with predatory grace. "You keep trying to help. You keep inserting yourself where you don't belong. You keep making yourself seen." He stopped inches from me, so close I could see gold flecks in his dark eyes. "And now I see you, and that's a problem. For both of us." "Dante," Mikhail said. "She did nothing wrong. She did everything wrong, but he didn't take his eyes off me. She saw, she heard, she knows." "I don't know anything," I whispered. "I swear I won't say anything." "You're right, you won't." He nodded to Victor. "Take her." Victor's hand closed around my arm, not brutally, but inescapably. As he pulled me toward the door, I looked back at Mikhail, desperate for some intervention, some mercy. The old man's face held regret. But he said nothing. The door closed behind me, and I was led down a hallway I hadn't seen before, away from the restaurant's main rooms, into depths that smelled of old wood and older secrets. We stopped before another door. Victor knocked once. "Enter," came a female voice. Inside was an office, leather furniture, bookshelves, a massive desk, and behind it sat a woman in her 50s, elegant and sharp-eyed, examining me like I was a specimen under glass. "Is this her?" "Yes, ma'am." The woman rose, circling me slowly. "The one who helped Mikhail?" "Yes, ma'am." She lifted my chin, forcing me to meet her gaze. Her eyes were the same dark shade as Dante's. "What's your name, child?" "Elena." "Elena Morales. And you're aware of who you helped? What you've witnessed?" Tears pricked my eyes. "I didn't mean to cause trouble. I saw someone who needed help, and I helped. That's all." "That's all," she repeated softly. Then, "Victor, leave us." He hesitated. "Ma'am," Dante said, "I know what my son said. Leave us." Victor left, closing the door with a soft click. The woman returned to her desk, gesturing for me to sit. I did, perching on the edge of the chair, ready to bolt. "I'm Katerina Volkov," she said. "Dante's mother. Mikhail's daughter-in-law." She poured 2 glasses of water, sliding one across to me. "Drink. You look like you're about to faint." I sipped gratefully, the cool liquid soothing my parched throat. "My son thinks you're a liability," Katerina continued. "A loose end. In our world, loose ends are eliminated." The water turned to ash in my mouth. "But I see something different." She leaned forward. "I see a young woman with good instincts, kind heart, and terrible timing. Tell me, Elena, do you have family?" "A daughter," I whispered. "Sophia, she's 4. And her father?" "Gone. He left when I was pregnant." Katerina's expression softened infinitesimally. "Then you understand what it means to protect what's yours, to do whatever necessary for survival." I nodded, not trusting my voice. "Good. Because I'm going to offer you a choice." She pulled a folder from her drawer, laying it Inside open. Were photos of me. At my apartment, at my other jobs, even one of me picking up Sophia from daycare. "We know everything about you, Elena. Where you live, where you work, who you love. We know your daughter goes to Little Sprouts daycare on Maple Street. We know you're 3 months behind on rent. We know you eat once a day so Sophia can eat 3 times. Horror crawled up my spine. How? That's what we do. We know people. We control people. We protect our own and destroy our enemies." She closed the folder. "The question is, which are you going to be?" "I don't understand. Dante wants you gone, a liability removed, but I think you could be useful. My father-in-law is dying, Elena. Cancer, aggressive and terminal. He has perhaps 6 months. In that time, he'll need care, companionship. Someone who sees him as a man, not a weapon or a weakness. You want me to, what? Take care of him? I want you to give him dignity in his final months. And in exchange, I'll protect you. I'll protect Sophia. I'll make sure Dante doesn't see you as a threat. It was a trap. It had to be. But what choice did I have? And if I refuse? Katerina's smile was sad. Then I can't guarantee what my son will do. He's protective. Paranoid. He sees enemies everywhere. And you, sweet girl, put your hands on his father. Twice. The weight of it crushed down on me. I thought of Sophia's laugh, her tiny hands in mine, the way she said mama when I tucked her in at night. If I do this, I said slowly, you'll keep us safe? Both of us? You have my word. And your son? Will he hurt me? Not if you do exactly as you're told. Not if you prove trustworthy. Not if you become family. The last word hung in the air like a promise and a threat. I took a shuddering breath. Okay, I'll do it. Katerina smiled. Genuinely this time. Smart girl. Victor will take you home tonight. Tomorrow you'll receive instructions. Your life as you knew it is over. Welcome to the Volkov family, Elena. As I left the office, escorted back through the labyrinth of hallways, I caught a glimpse through a window, Dante, standing in the private dining room, drink in hand, staring into the fire. He turned, as if sensing my gaze, and our eyes met through the glass. In that moment, I understood with crushing clarity. I hadn't saved anyone tonight. I'd stepped into a cage, and Dante Volkov held the only key. The black SUV idled outside my apartment building like a predator waiting in shadows. Victor stood beside it, arms crossed, scanning the street with eyes that missed nothing. At 3 a.m, the Narrows was a symphony of urban decay, sirens wailing in the distance, a couple arguing in Spanish 2 floors up, the rattle of the freight train that passed every hour like clockwork. I'd never felt more exposed climbing those stairs to my 4th floor walk-up, knowing he watched every step. Inside, Mrs. Chen from next door was asleep on my sagging couch, her small frame curled under the blanket I'd left. Sophia lay in our shared bed, thumb in mouth, dark curls splayed across the pillow. She looked so small, so perfect, so utterly breakable. I paid Mrs. Chen with the last of my cash, thanked her in whispers, and locked the door behind her. Then I stood in the center of my tiny apartment, peeling paint, water-stained ceiling, secondhand furniture that groaned with age, and tried to process what had happened. I'd made a deal with the devil's mother to save us from the devil himself. Sleep was impossible. I sat by the window, watching the SUV until dawn painted the sky gray, then pink, then the dirty yellow of city morning. Only when Sophia stirred did I move, plastering on a smile that felt like broken glass. "Mama!" She launched herself at me, all warmth and trust. "You smell different." I did. Like expensive wine and dangerous men and decisions that couldn't be unmade. "New job, baby. Mama's working at a fancy restaurant now. With the pretty glasses? Like Cinderella?" If only she knew how accurate that comparison was. Something like that. I got her ready for daycare, braiding her hair with shaking hands, packing the lunch I'd prepared the night before my world tilted off its axis. As we descended the stairs, I noticed him immediately, not Victor. Someone else. Younger, leaner, with a tattoo creeping up his neck and eyes that tracked our movement with professional detachment. He stood across the street, pretending to smoke, but I recognized a guard when I saw one now. They were already watching us. At Little Sprouts daycare, I held Sophia tighter than usual. Ms. Patricia, the director, noticed. "Everything okay, Elena?" "No. Nothing would ever be okay again." "Fine. Just tired." I kissed Sophia's forehead, breathing in her baby shampoo scent, memorizing the feel of her arms around my neck. When I finally let go, she skipped toward the play area without looking back. So trusting. So innocent. Keep her that way. I prayed to whoever might be listening, please. My phone buzzed as I left. Unknown number. "Car will collect you at noon. Wear something presentable. KV, Katerina Volkov. My new keeper. I had 3 hours. I spent them at the thrift store on Morrison Street, using the credit card I'd sworn never to touch except in emergencies. A simple black dress, not unlike the one I'd worn last night, but better fitted, shoes that didn't have scuffs, a cardigan that looked almost professional. In the changing room mirror, I barely recognized myself. I looked older, haunted. I looked like someone who'd made a deal she'd regret forever. At noon exactly, a different SUV arrived, sleek, black, windows tinted dark enough to hide anything. The driver was a woman this time, blonde and ice-cold beautiful, who didn't speak as I climbed into the back seat. We drove through the city, leaving the Narrows behind, climbing toward the hills where the air itself seemed cleaner, where houses became estates and gates became fortresses. The SUV turned onto a private road lined with ancient oaks, their branches forming a tunnel that blocked out the sun. The Volkov estate emerged like something from another world. 3 stories of stone and glass, surrounded by manicured gardens that probably employed a dozen people. Fountains, sculptures, security cameras on every corner, and men in suits patrolling the perimeter with dogs that looked more wolf than pet. This was where Mikhail Volkov lived, where Dante Volkov ruled. My stomach twisted into knots. The driver led me through a side entrance, down marble hallways hung with art I recognized from textbooks. Originals, not prints, Russian landscapes, Orthodox icons, one painting of a woman who had Dante's eyes and Mikhail's sharp cheekbones, wearing jewels that could feed my neighborhood for a year. We stopped before a set of double doors. The driver knocked once. "Come," Mikhail's voice called. Inside, the room was half library, half medical ward. Bookshelves lined one wall, crammed with volumes in multiple languages. But the other side held a hospital bed, IV stands, monitoring equipment that beeped softly. The smell of antiseptic fought with the aroma of old leather and tea. Mikhail sat in his wheelchair by the window, a blanket over his legs despite the room's warmth. Morning light painted him in shades of gray. His skin, his hair, even his eyes seemed faded, as if death was already bleaching him from the world. But when he saw me, those eyes sharpened. "Elena, you came. Did I have a choice?" A smile ghosted across his lips. "Always honest? That's good. I'm tired of people who lie." He gestured to the chair beside him. "Sit. We should talk." I sat, hands folded in my lap, trying to ignore the IV line running into his arm, the way his breath rattled slightly when he exhaled. "My daughter-in-law told you about my condition?" "Yes, sir. I'm sorry." "Don't be. I've lived longer than most men in my profession. I've seen things, done things." He trailed off, gaze distant. "I have no illusions about where I'm going when this ends, but I'd like to go with some grace, some humanity, not surrounded by nurses who see only a dying body, or family who see only a weakening empire." "What do you see when you look at me?" I had to know. A young woman who helped a stranger when everyone else looked away, a mother who would do anything for her child. His hand, trembling, reached for the teacup on the side table. I moved to help, but he shook his head. "Let me struggle. It's the struggling that reminds me I'm still alive." I watched him grip the cup, watched the liquid shake, watched him bring it to his lips with painful slowness. Pride and determination etched into every line of his weathered face. "I had a daughter once," he said finally. "Irina. She would be about your age now, would be. She died when she was 7, leukemia." The words were stones dropping into still water. "We had money, connections, the best doctors, but some things can't be bought or threatened or killed. We could only watch her fade." My throat tightened. "I'm sorry. I can't imagine." It broke something in my wife, in me, in Dante most of all. He was 12, old enough to understand death, but too young to accept it. He blamed himself for not being able to protect her. He became harder, colder. He decided that love was weakness, that caring was vulnerability. I thought of the man in the restaurant, the way he'd looked at me like I was an equation to be solved or a problem to be eliminated. "He frightens me," I admitted. "He should. He's frightening." Mikhail set down his cup. "But he's also my son. And beneath all that ice, there's still a boy who loved his sister so much he tried to give her his own bone marrow. They weren't a match. His voice cracked. He spent 20 years trying to be hard enough that nothing can hurt him again. Why are you telling me this? Because you'll see him often. He comes every day, sometimes twice a day, to check on me. And he won't trust you. He'll test you, push you, try to find a reason to send you away, or worse. Mikhail's gray eyes held mine. But if you can be patient, if you can show him that kindness isn't weakness, that caring isn't betrayal, maybe you can remind him he's still human. I'm not a therapist. I'm barely surviving myself. Exactly. You're real. Everyone else in his life wants something from him. Power, money, protection. What do you want, Elena? The answer came immediately, instinctively. To keep my daughter safe. Then we want the same thing. Because if anything happens to you while you're under our protection, Dante will see it as his failure. And he doesn't fail. Mikhail reached out, his cold fingers touching my hand. Help me die well, Elena. Help my son remember how to live. That's all I ask. Before I could respond, the doors burst open. Dante strode in, and the room's temperature plummeted. He'd been running, or fighting. His shirt was torn at the shoulder, knuckles bloodied, a fresh cut above his eyebrow that he hadn't bothered to clean. His eyes were wild, dangerous, searching the room until they landed on his father. Papa. Relief flooded his face for a microsecond before the mask slammed back into place. Then he saw me. What is she doing here? Katerina hired her to help with my care. Absolutely not. Dante's voice could have cut diamonds. She's a security risk. She heard too much last night. She heard business talk, nothing specific, nothing she could prove or use. Mikhail's tone turned sharp, and she saved me from humiliation twice. That earns consideration. It earns suspicion. Dante moved closer, towering over me, blood from his knuckles dripping onto the white carpet. Stand up. I stood on legs that barely held me. He circled me slowly, deliberately invading my space, his breath hot against my neck. I could smell copper and gunpowder and rage. Look at me. I lifted my gaze, forcing myself to meet those dark eyes even as every instinct screamed to look away. You understand what happens if you betray us? If you talk to police, reporters, anyone? Yes. Say it. I'll die. The words tasted like ash, and so will my daughter. Something flickered in his expression. Surprise, maybe? Or respect for my bluntness. Good. At least you're not stupid. He turned to his father. She's searched every time she enters and leaves. Victor watches her 24/7. Any suspicious behavior, any contact with wrong people, and she disappears. Clear? Crystal. Mikhail's sarcasm was acid. Now go clean yourself up. You're dripping blood on my carpet. There was a problem at the docks. The Marino family thought they could renegotiate terms. And? Dante's smile was all teeth and violence. They won't be renegotiating anything ever again. My stomach churned. This was the man I was supposed to help humanize? This killer in expensive clothes who spoke about murder like it was a business meeting? Elena? Mikhail's voice pulled me back. Would you mind getting me some water? Kitchen is down the hall, third door on the right. I fled gratefully, my hands shaking as I walked the opulent corridor. The kitchen was massive. Restaurant-grade appliances, marble countertops, a refrigerator the size of my entire apartment. A woman in a gray uniform looked up from chopping vegetables. You're the new girl? The one for Mr. Mikhail? Yes, I need water for him. She pointed to a cabinet. Filtered water, room temperature. He can't handle cold anymore. Her eyes softened. You seem nice. Word of advice? Stay invisible around Mr. Dante. He's in a mood today. What happened? Someone tried to kill him last night. Car bomb in the restaurant parking lot. Didn't go off, but... She shrugged. He doesn't like people trying to kill him. Makes him tetchy. A car bomb. While I'd been inside, serving wine and catching dropped canes, someone had been trying to murder the entire Volkov family. I filled the glass with trembling hands, heading back toward Mikhail's room. As I approached, voices drifted through the partially open door. Can't trust her, Papa. She appears out of nowhere, helps you twice in one night, and now Mother wants to bring her into the house? It's too convenient. Or it's fate. Mikhail sounded tired. Not everything is a conspiracy, Dante. In our world, everything is a conspiracy until proven otherwise. A pause. I've had men looking into her background. Single mother, multiple jobs, drowning in debt. Classic recruitment profile for an informant. Or a desperate woman trying to survive. Mikhail's voice hardened. You're becoming paranoid. Paranoia keeps us alive. Love gets us killed. Your sister's death wasn't because we loved her. Don't, the word cracked like a gunshot. Don't talk about Irina. Not today. Silence stretched. When Mikhail spoke again, his tone was gentler. She would have liked Elena. Irina always loved strays, remember? Broken birds, lost kittens. She saw goodness in everything, and the world killed her for it. The world killed her with cancer. Not kindness. Not love. A sigh. Let me have this, Dante. Let me spend my last months with someone who doesn't see me as a weapon to be sharpened or a weakness to be eliminated. Let me be a man. Just a man. Another silence. Longer. Fine. But she's watched, every second, first sign of betrayal. You'll kill her, I know. You've made that abundantly clear. I knocked softly, giving them warning. When I entered, Dante stood by the window, back rigid, hands clenched at his sides. He didn't turn as I handed Mikhail his water. Thank you, dear. Mikhail drank, then gestured to a stack of books on the table. Do you read, Elena? When I have time, which isn't often. What do you like? Anything. Everything. Stories that take me somewhere else. Escape literature. I understand. He tapped the top book. 100 Years of Solitude. Read to me? My eyes tire quickly these days. I settled into the chair, opened the book, and began. My voice felt strange in the quiet room, reading about generations and magic and love that lasted beyond death. Mikhail closed his eyes, a small smile on his lips. Dante remained at the window, a dark silhouette against the light. But I felt his attention on me like a physical weight, analyzing every word, every inflection, searching for the threat he was convinced I posed. An hour passed. Then 2. My voice grew hoarse, but I kept reading, lost in the rhythm of it, the strange comfort of beautiful words in a dangerous place. When I finally looked up, Mikhail had dozed off, his breathing deep and even. The monitors beeped their steady rhythm, proof of life continuing despite everything. He likes you. I startled. Dante had moved silently, now standing just behind my chair. Up close, I could see the exhaustion etched into his face, the dark circles under his eyes, the way his jaw clenched and unclenched. I'm just reading to him. You're giving him peace. That's more than most people can do. He moved around the chair, leaning against the wall, arms crossed. Tell me about your daughter. The question caught me off guard. Why? Because I need to understand what motivates you. What you'd kill for. What you'd die for. Sophia. Her name is Sophia. She's 4. She likes butterflies and singing and drawing pictures that don't look like anything, but she insists are unicorns. My voice softened despite myself. She's everything good I've ever done. And her father? Gone. He left when he found out I was pregnant. I haven't seen him since. Name. Why does it matter? Because everything matters. His eyes bored into mine. In my world, there are no coincidences, no accidents. Every connection is a potential threat or asset. So, his name. I wanted to refuse, but I saw the steel in his gaze, the promise of consequences if I didn't comply. Marcus Chen. He was a line cook at a restaurant in Chinatown where I waitressed. We dated for 6 months. When I told him about the baby, he said he wasn't ready to be a father and disappeared. Dante pulled out his phone, typing rapidly. Victor, I need a full workup on Marcus Chen, former line cook, Chinatown area, approximately 5 years ago. I want to know where he is, what he's doing, and everyone he's connected to. Horror flooded through me. No. Please. He's not involved. I'll decide what's involved. He pocketed the phone. If he's clean, he has nothing to fear. If he's not, he shrugged. Then you should thank me for finding out before it bit you. You can't just investigate everyone in my life. I can do whatever I want. He stepped closer, and I pressed back in my chair. That's what power means, Elena. The ability to reshape reality to match your will. The ability to protect what's yours and destroy what threatens it. His hand shot out, gripping my chin. Not brutally, but firmly enough that I couldn't look away. And right now, I haven't decided which category you fall into. My heart hammered. I'm not a threat. Prove it. How? His thumb brushed across my lower lip and I froze. The gesture was intimate and terrifying in equal measure. His eyes tracked the movement with dark intensity. By being exactly what you appear to be. A desperate woman trying to survive. Nothing more, nothing less. He released me abruptly. Fail that test, and I'll erase you from existence. Your daughter will grow up never knowing what happened to her mother. Do you understand? Yes. Good. He moved toward the door, then paused. You'll start tomorrow, 8 a.m. Victor will collect you. Bring nothing except yourself. We'll provide everything you need. What about Sophia? She'll be watched, protected, as long as you cooperate. His smile was a blade. Katerina has arranged for upgrades to your daughter's daycare security. Better locks, cameras, guards disguised as maintenance workers. Consider it a benefit of employment. Or a reminder that you can reach her anytime. Smart girl. He opened the door. You're learning. Then he was gone, leaving me alone with Mikhail's sleeping form and the crushing weight of choices I never wanted to make. I looked at the old man, his face peaceful in sleep, and wondered if I was meant to save him, or if he was meant to save me, or if we'd both simply drown together. The routine established itself with frightening speed. Every morning, Victor's SUV appeared outside my building at 7:30. Every morning, I kissed Sophia goodbye and climbed into that black vehicle, leaving one world behind and entering another. The Volkov estate became my second prison. Beautiful, suffocating, and impossible to escape. Mikhail was easy. Too easy. He joked while I helped him with physical therapy, told stories of his youth in Moscow while I prepared his medications, and listened with genuine interest when I talked about Sophia's latest adventures at daycare. He treated me like a granddaughter, not an employee, not a liability. It was Dante who made every day feel like walking on broken glass. He appeared without warning, during breakfast, during Mikhail's afternoon rest, during the quiet evening hours when I read aloud. He'd stand in doorways or sit in corners, silent and watchful. His presence a constant reminder that I was being evaluated, judged, measured against some impossible standard. Sometimes he'd interrupt with questions that felt like interrogations. What did my father eat today? Oatmeal, chicken broth, applesauce. He couldn't keep down the sandwich. Did he take his pain medication? Yes. At 2 p.m., he fought it. But I convinced him. How? I told him Sophia draws pictures for brave people, and only brave people take their medicine. A pause. Then, manipulative. Effective. His eyes would narrow, searching for the trap, the angle, the threat. But he'd find nothing, because there was nothing. I was exactly what I appeared to be. A woman trying to survive, to protect her daughter, to give a dying man some comfort. 2 weeks passed, then 3. The autumn air turned sharp, and leaves carpeted the estate grounds in gold and crimson. Mikhail grew weaker, sleeping more, eating less, his body betraying him in increments. And Dante grew more present. He started joining us for lunch, sitting across the table, eating in silence while I fed his father soup or cut his food into manageable pieces. He watched every interaction with hawk-like intensity, as if waiting for me to slip, to reveal myself as the spy or assassin or whatever he'd convinced himself I must be. But he also started talking. Small things at first. Comments about the weather. Questions about what I was reading to Mikhail. Once, he even asked about Sophia. She's good with colors, you said. I looked up from adjusting Mikhail's pillows, surprised. Yes. She sees patterns everywhere. Says the sky isn't just blue. It's blue and purple and silver all mixed together. Artist's eye. Maybe. Or maybe she just sees more than the rest of us. Something shifted in his expression. Brief, almost vulnerable. My sister was like that. She'd spend hours drawing the same flower from different angles, trying to capture something she said she could feel but not see. It was the first time he'd mentioned Irina without being prompted. Mikhail, pretending to sleep, smiled slightly. "Do you still have her drawings?" I asked softly. "Every single one. In my office. In frames." He stood abruptly, as if regretting the confession. "Papa needs rest. You're dismissed until dinner." I learned to recognize his moods by subtle signs. The set of his shoulders when violence simmered beneath his skin, the way his jaw clenched when business went wrong. The slight softening around his eyes when he looked at his father and thought no one noticed. He was a man at war with himself, and I was caught in the crossfire. One afternoon, everything changed. I was in the library, searching for a new book to read to Mikhail, when I heard raised voices down the hall. Dante's voice, sharp with fury. Another man, defensive and desperate. "Told you to wait for my signal. There wasn't time. The Kozlov Bratva was moving on the shipment. So you started a war without authorization?" A crash. Glass breaking. "You killed 3 of their men in broad daylight. They were stealing from us. They were testing us." Another crash. Closer. "Now Alexei Kozlov will demand blood for blood, and I'll have to give him yours to prevent a full-scale war." Silence. Heavy. Suffocating. "Please, Dante. I have a family. Should have thought of that before you acted like a fucking amateur." Footsteps. "Victor. Take him to the South Warehouse. I'll deal with him after I talk to Papa." The door to the library burst open. Dante strode in. Stopped when he saw me. His face a mask of barely controlled rage. Blood spattered his white shirt. Not his own, I didn't think. "Out." I moved toward the door, but he blocked my path. "Wait." He ran a hand through his hair, and I saw it trembling slightly. "My father. How is he today?" "Weak. The new medication is hard on him." "Is he in pain?" "Some, but he won't admit it. You know how he is." Dante's laugh was bitter. "Stubborn old man." He moved to the window, staring out at the gardens. "He's dying. Actually dying. And there's nothing I can do about it." The vulnerability in his voice startled me. This was the man who'd just ordered someone taken to a warehouse, a death sentence by any measure, now sounding lost and young and afraid. "You can be with him," I said quietly. "That's something. Is it? Or am I just watching him fade while the empire he built crumbles because I can't hold it together without him?" He turned, and for the first time, I saw past the armor. Everyone thinks I'm strong, ruthless, unbreakable. But I'm terrified, Elena. Every single day I'm terrified I'll fail him, that I'll lose control, that everything we've built will collapse the moment he takes his last breath. I should have stayed silent, should have remembered my place. Instead, I spoke the truth. "Then maybe you need to stop trying to be strong enough for everyone and just be his son, while you still can." Dante stared at me, something raw and dangerous swirling in his eyes. He crossed the distance between us in 3 strides, and suddenly I was backed against the bookshelf, his hands braced on either side of my head, caging me in. "You don't know anything about my life, about the choices I've had to make, the things I've done. You're right. I don't." My voice shook, but I held his gaze. "But I know what it's like to be so scared of losing someone that you forget to actually be with them. I know what it's like to build walls so high that no one can hurt you, but no one can reach you either." His breath came faster, closer. I could see flecks of gold in his dark eyes, smell whiskey and danger, and something else I couldn't name. "You think you understand me? I think you want someone to." The words hung between us, electric and terrifying. For a moment, one infinite, impossible moment, I thought he might kiss me, or kill me. The line between seemed razor thin. Then Mikhail's voice drifted from down the hall, calling for water. Dante jerked back as if burned. "Go. Tend to my father." I fled, my heart racing, my skin tingling where his breath had touched it. Behind me, I heard something shatter against the wall. A book or a bottle, violence seeking release. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, replaying the scene, trying to understand what had happened. Dante was dangerous, criminal. He'd threatened my daughter. Yet for that one moment, I'd seen something human beneath the monster. Something broken that recognized the broken parts of me. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Can't sleep either. D. I stared at the message, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Every instinct screamed to ignore it, to maintain distance, to remember who he was and what he could do. Instead, I typed, "Your father asked about Irina today. He said you used to read to her." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again, every night, until the hospital. Then I read to an empty room. What was her favorite story? The Little Prince. She said she was the rose, and I was the pilot who'd never leave her. But you did. She died. That's the ultimate abandonment. I closed my eyes, imagining a 12-year-old Dante sitting vigil beside a sister who wouldn't wake up, building walls brick by brick around his heart until nothing could reach him. You didn't abandon her. You loved her. There's a difference. No response. I thought maybe I'd overstepped, crossed some invisible line. Then, my office. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Come alone. I shouldn't have gone. Every survival instinct I possessed screamed it was a trap, a test, something that would end with me in a shallow grave. But I went anyway. Dante's office was on the top floor of the East Wing, a room I'd been forbidden to enter. Victor stopped me at the door, searched me thoroughly despite my protests, then knocked once. Enter. The office was masculine, powerful, and surprisingly personal. Dark wood, leather furniture, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the estate. But the walls were covered in drawings, children's drawings in frames, flowers, animals, a family of stick figures holding hands, Irina's drawings. Dante stood by the window, still wearing yesterday's clothes, looking like he hadn't slept. A bottle of vodka sat on his desk, half empty. You came. You commanded. I obeyed. Isn't that how this works? A slight smile. Sit. I chose the chair furthest from him, hyper-aware of the closed door, the isolation, the fact that no one would hear me scream if... I'm not going to hurt you. He poured 2 glasses of vodka, sliding one across the desk. Drink. You look like you need it. It's 10 in the morning. In Russia, that's afternoon. He downed his own glass in one swallow. I brought you here because I need to tell you something. And I need you to listen without running. Dread curled in my stomach. Okay. He pulled out a folder. The same one Katerina had shown me weeks ago, but thicker now. He opened it, spreading photos across the desk. Me at the market. Me picking up Sophia. Me talking to Mrs. Chen, and then others. Marcus Chen, older now, standing outside a restaurant. Marcus Chen talking to men I didn't recognize. Marcus Chen accepting an envelope. Your daughter's father isn't just a deadbeat. Dante's voice was flat, clinical. He's an informant, FBI, has been for 3 years. The world tilted. What? The restaurant where he works is a front for the Kozlov Bratva. He fed them information about my family's operations, probably before you even met. The timing of your relationship, your pregnancy, it wasn't coincidence. No, that's not. He left me. He wanted nothing to do with us, because his handlers told him to distance himself. Dante's eyes held pity I didn't want. Elena, you were a mark. A way to get close to service industry workers in our territories. When you got pregnant, you became a liability to his cover. So he disappeared. I couldn't breathe. The room spun. Everything I'd believed about Marcus, about our relationship, about Sophia's origins. Lies. All lies. But here's where it gets interesting. Dante pulled out another photo. Marcus Chen shaking hands with a man whose face I recognized from news reports. 2 weeks ago, he made contact with someone asking questions about you, about where you work now, about your schedule. My blood turned to ice. He knows I'm here. Someone knows. And they want access. Dante leaned forward. Elena, you're not just a caretaker anymore. You're bait. And Sophia... He stopped, jaw clenching. Sophia might not be his daughter by accident. She might be leverage, insurance. The implication hit me like a fist. You think he'll use her to get to you? I think someone will try. Rage exploded through my terror. Then find him, kill him, do whatever you people do. I can't. The admission seemed to cost him, not without proof he's working against us, not without knowing who else is involved. If I move too soon, I tip our hand. His eyes burned into mine. But I can protect you. Both of you. If you trust me. Trust you? You threaten to kill me every other day. And yet you're still alive. He stood, circling the desk. I could have disappeared you that first night. Could have made you vanish the moment my mother proposed this arrangement, but I didn't. Do you know why? I shook my head, mute. Because my father likes you. Because you make his last days bearable. Because... He stopped inches from me, and I felt that same electric charge from yesterday. Because you're the first real thing in my world in years. Everyone else wants something. You just want to survive. And that I understand. His hand cupped my face, thumb tracing my cheekbone. The gesture should have terrified me. Instead, warmth bloomed where he touched. Let me protect you, he whispered. Let me keep Sophia safe. Let me... He stopped, struggling with something. Let me prove I'm not the monster you think I am. Why do you care what I think? I don't know. The confession seemed ripped from him. But I do. The decision to move us into the estate wasn't presented as a choice. That afternoon, while I sat in Mikhail's room reading, Katerina appeared with 2 security personnel and a matter-of-fact expression that brooked no argument. Pack what matters from your apartment. Everything else will be replaced. You and Sophia move in tonight. My hands trembled on the book. That's not necessary. It's completely necessary. She sat across from me, her tone businesslike but not unkind. Marcus Chen was spotted in your neighborhood yesterday, watching your building. We can't protect you adequately from a distance. The fear I'd been suppressing since Dante's revelation crashed over me. Sophia. I need to get Sophia. Already handled. Victor collected her from daycare 20 minutes ago. She's in the kitchen with our cook, Maria, decorating cookies. Katerina's smile was thin. Welcome to the family, Elena, officially this time. Within hours, my entire life was dismantled and reconstructed within the Volkov fortress. Sophia was enchanted. The estate was a fairy tale to her. All gardens and fountains, and a room decorated in butterflies that appeared as if by magic. She didn't understand we were prisoners in a gilded cage. She only saw the beauty. I saw the cameras, the guards, the locks that kept us safe, or kept us trapped. That first night in the estate, I tucked Sophia into her new bed, her eyes drooping with exhaustion from the excitement. Mama, is this our house now? For a little while, baby. I like it here. Mr. Mikhail is nice. He let me sit in his wheelchair. She yawned. And the scary man smiled at me. My heart stopped. What scary man? The one with the dark eyes. He came to the kitchen while I was making cookies. I thought he'd be mean, but he asked what I was drawing. She pulled out a crumpled paper from under her pillow, a child's drawing of stick figures. I drew our family. That's you. That's me, and I made him smile in the picture because he looked sad. I stared at the drawing. Sophia had added a tall figure beside our 2 forms, standing protectively between us, and scribbled dark shapes that might have been monsters or threats. She'd drawn Dante into our family. Baby, that man, he's not... But she was already asleep, her small hand clutching the drawing like a talisman. I found Dante in his office an hour later, the door open for once. He sat behind his desk, staring at something in his hand. When I entered, he didn't hide it. Another child's drawing, this one old and faded, a flower. Irina's signature in the corner. She gave this to me the day before she died. He said without looking up. Said it was a sunshine flower because it would bloom even in darkness. His laugh was hollow. She was wrong. Everything died with her. Not everything. I held out Sophia's drawing. She made this for you. He took it slowly, his expression unreadable as he studied the stick figures. When his eyes lifted to mine, something raw swam in their depths. She's 4 years old and she can see I'm a monster. But she drew me smiling anyway. Children see truth differently than adults. They see potential, not just reality. What do you see when you look at me, Elena? He stood, moving around the desk. Monster? Protector? Killer? All of it. None of it. I held my ground as he approached. I see someone trying so hard to be strong that he's forgotten how to be anything else. Maybe that's all I am now. I don't believe that. You should. But he didn't move away. I've killed 17 men with my own hands. I've ordered the deaths of dozens more. I've broken bones, burned buildings, destroyed lives without hesitation. He was close enough now that I could see the scar tissue on his knuckles, the faded marks on his neck. Your daughter drew me smiling, but I don't remember how. Without thinking, I reached up and touched his face, just my fingertips against his jaw, feeling the tension there, the clench of muscles holding back too much for too long. Then maybe it's time to remember. His hand caught my wrist, but not to push me away. His grip was firm, possessive, his thumb finding my pulse point and pressing there as if counting each beat. You're playing a dangerous game. I'm not playing anything. I'm trying to survive. We both are. Survival. He pulled me closer, eliminating the space between us. Is that what this is? I don't know what this is. Neither do I. But it's going to destroy us both. Then his mouth was on mine, not gentle, not asking permission, claiming and consuming with desperate intensity. I should have pushed him away, should have remembered who he was, what he represented, the threat he posed to everything I loved. Instead, I kissed him back. It was fire and fury and 5 weeks of tension exploding into something neither of us could control. His hands tangled in my hair, mine gripped his shirt, and for one infinite moment, we weren't captor and captive, criminal and victim. We were just two broken people seeking something neither could name. When he finally pulled back, we were both breathing hard. His forehead pressed against mine, his eyes closed. This can't happen. I know. You're supposed to be safe from me. I know. But I can't. His voice cracked. I can't let you go. The confession hung between us, terrifying and true. Somewhere in the past 5 weeks, between the threats and the protection, the fear and the understanding, something had shifted, changed, become something dangerous. A knock shattered the moment. Victor's voice. Boss, we have a situation. Dante's mask slammed back into place instantly. He stepped back, adjusting his shirt, his face once again the controlled violence I'd first encountered. Report. Victor entered, glanced at me once, then focused on Dante. Chen made contact. He wants to meet. Says he has information about Sophia's paternity that you'll want to hear. My blood froze. What does that mean? Dante's expression went arctic. It means he's making his move. Victor set up the meeting. Neutral territory. Full security detail. Then to me, you're staying here. With Sophia. Under guard. If this is about my daughter, it's about leverage. It's about him trying to use Sophia to get what he wants, and I won't let that happen. He moved to a cabinet, pulled out a handgun, checked the magazine with practiced efficiency. Whatever he says, whatever claims he makes, Sophia is under my protection now. Do you understand? She's my daughter, and I'm the man keeping her alive. His eyes burned. Trust me, Elena. For once, just trust me. He left with Victor, leaving me alone in his office surrounded by Irina's drawings and the ghost of a kiss that changed everything. I returned to Sophia's room and watched her sleep, my mind racing. What information could Marcus possibly have? What was he planning? And why now, after 5 years of silence? The hours crawled past. Midnight came and went. I dozed in the chair beside Sophia's bed, jerking awake at every sound, every shadow. At 3 a.m., footsteps in the hall. The door opened. Dante stood there, blood on his shirt, fresh this time. His face a mask of barely contained rage. Is she... I started. Safe. You're both safe. He moved to the bed, looking down at Sophia with an expression that made my heart ache. But there's something you need to know. We went to his office. He poured 2 drinks, downed his, then faced me. Marcus Chen isn't FBI. He's Kozlov Bratva. Deep cover. Has been for 6 years. The revelation should have shocked me. Instead, pieces clicked into place. The pregnancy was deliberate. The Kozlovs needed leverage against someone in our organization. When they discovered you worked in restaurants we frequented, you became a target. Get you pregnant, establish paternity, then use the child as blackmail when the time was right. Nausea rolled through me, but he left. He never tried to contact us. Because the target died before they could implement their plan, so you became irrelevant. Until now. Dante's jaw clenched. until you became relevant to me. The weight of it crushed down. Sophia was never his daughter. This was always a con. DNA test confirms it. He's not her biological father. He just positioned himself to claim paternity if needed. Relief and horror warred within me. Then who does it matter? Dante's voice softened. She's yours. That's all that matters. But Elena... He hesitated. Chen made threats tonight about Sophia, about what the Kozlov family would do if I didn't back off certain territories. What did you do? His silence was answer enough. Dante, what did you do? What I had to. His eyes met mine, unflinching. He'll never threaten her again. Neither will anyone connected to him. I should have been horrified, should have seen only the monster. Instead, I saw a man who'd killed to protect my daughter without hesitation. Thank you, I whispered. Don't thank me. I did it as much for me as for you. Because somewhere in the last 5 weeks, you and Sophia stopped being liabilities and became... He stopped, struggling. I don't have a word for what you are. Neither do I. We stood in the space between what was and what could never be. The weight of impossible choices pressing down. My father is dying, Dante said finally. When he's gone, things will change. There will be challenges to my authority. Moves against the family. Blood in the streets. I need to know... His hand cupped my face again, that gesture becoming familiar, becoming something I craved. I need to know if you'll stay, if you'll let me protect you, if you'll... Be yours? The words escaped before I could stop them. Yes. Raw. Honest. Terrifying. Be mine. Both of you. Not as prisoners. Not as liabilities. As family. It was insane. Impossible. Everything I'd been taught to fear and avoid. This man was a killer. A criminal. Someone who should have repulsed me. But he'd also protected us. Avenged threats against Sophia. Shown me glimpses of the boy who loved his sister enough to break himself when she died. I don't know if I can be what you need. You already are. His thumb traced my lips, the gesture achingly gentle. You made my father smile. You made me remember I'm human. You drew Sophia's picture and put me in your family. His voice cracked. No one's done that in 20 years. Dante, I'm not asking for love. I'm asking for a chance to prove I can be more than a monster. To show you that this world, my world, can be safe for you. I thought of Sophia, sleeping peacefully in a room filled with butterflies. I thought of Mikhail, finding comfort in his final days. I thought of the past 5 weeks, the way danger had become familiar, the way Dante's presence had shifted from threat to something else. Okay, I breathed. Okay. His kiss this time was different, slower, deeper, a claiming and a promise. When he pulled back, his forehead against mine, I felt the tremor in his hands. Mine, he whispered. You're mine now, and I protect what's mine. I know. No going back. I know. Outside, dawn began breaking over the estate. A new day. A new life. A choice made in darkness that would have to survive the light. Mikhail Volkov died on a Tuesday morning, 3 weeks later, with autumn rain painting the windows gray and his family surrounding him like a fortress against the inevitable. I held one of his weathered hands while Dante gripped the other, Katerina standing behind her son with a hand on his shoulder. The monitors beeped slower, 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 until they flatlined into a single, endless tone that seemed to hollow out the world. Dante didn't move, didn't speak, just stared at his father's peaceful face, with an expression so devastated it hurt to witness. Papa, he whispered finally, the word breaking. Don't leave me. But Mikhail was already gone. Whatever made him vital and alive extinguished like a candle in wind. I'd seen death before, my own mother, wasting away in a county hospital, but this felt different, heavier, more final. Because I'd grown to love the old man despite everything, despite the danger and the violence and the world he represented. He'd been kind to me, patient with Sophia. He'd seen me as human when everyone else saw me as a pawn. Katerina moved first, crossing herself in the orthodox manner, murmuring prayers in Russian. Then she touched Dante's shoulder. Let him go, Sin. He's at peace now. Peace. Dante's laugh was shattered glass. He'll never have peace. Not after everything he did, everything we are. Then we carry that burden for him. She kissed the top of his head, a gesture so maternal it made my throat tight. Come. There are arrangements to make. People to notify. Dante stood slowly, mechanically, his hand sliding from his father's. He looked at me with eyes that were empty. Shut down, the humanity I'd seen these past weeks buried under layers of ice. Take Sophia to her room. Lock the door. Don't come out until I send for you. Dante, do it. Now. His voice was arctic. Everything changes today, and I need to know you're safe while I handle what comes next. I wanted to argue, to reach for him, to offer comfort. But Victor appeared in the doorway with 3 other guards, their faces grim, and I understood. The patriarch was dead. Now came the vultures. I found Sophia in the library with Maria, the cook who'd become her unofficial nanny. My daughter was drawing, always drawing, her tongue poking out in concentration. Mama! She held up her picture. Look, I made Mr. McHale with angel wings. Tears burned my eyes. It's beautiful, baby. Is he still sick? How did you explain death to a 4-year-old? How did you make sense of something that made no sense? Mr. McHale went to be with the angels, sweetheart. He's not sick anymore. Her little face crumpled. But I didn't say goodbye. He knew you loved him. That's the same thing. She crawled into my lap, and I held her while she cried, rocking her like I had when she was an infant, whispering promises I had no right to make about everything being okay. That night, the estate transformed into something darker. Black cars arrived in processions, men in expensive suits gathering like crows. Russian, Italian, Irish. I recognized the accents even if I didn't understand the words. They came to pay respects, but also to measure, to assess, to see if Dante Volkov was strong enough to hold his father's empire without the old man's wisdom tempering his violence. I watched from Sophia's window as they arrived, each one greeted by Dante with cold formality. He'd changed clothes, a black suit that made him look carved from shadow, his hair slicked back, every inch the ruthless king his father had raised him to be. The boy who'd kissed me in his office had vanished. The monster had returned. 2 days passed. The funeral was orthodox, elaborate, filled with incense and prayers I didn't understand. Sophia and I watched from a private balcony, away from the crowds, away from the politics and power plays happening below. I saw Dante standing rigid beside the casket, his mother on one side, his captains on the other. He didn't cry, didn't flinch, just stood like a marble statue while they lowered his father into the ground. When it was over, the guests returned to the estate for the traditional wake. I kept Sophia in our wing, away from the drinking and the deals being made over Mikhail's memory. Near midnight, a knock. Victor stood outside, his face carefully neutral. Boss wants to see you. Private study. Come alone. My heart hammered. Sophia. Maria will stay with her. Boss's orders. I followed him through corridors emptied of guests, past guards posted at intervals, into the heart of the estate where I'd been only once before. Dante's private study, the room where he conducted his most dangerous business. He stood at the window, a drink in hand, still wearing the funeral suit. He didn't turn when I entered. Close the door. I obeyed, my pulse racing. Do you know what happens now? His voice was flat, emotionless. Now that my father's gone, your enemies will test you. My enemies will try to destroy me. Starting with the Kozlov Bratva. He finally turned, and I barely recognized him. His face was a mask of cold calculation. All the warmth I'd glimpsed these past weeks buried so deep it might never resurface. Alexei Kozlov made his move tonight. Offered me a deal. Surrender half our territory, or he'll wage war that will leave this city drowning in blood. Horror crawled up my spine. What did you tell him? I told him to go to hell, a bitter smile. Which means war. Which means Sophia and you are in more danger than ever. Then we'll leave. We'll disappear. You think you can hide from the Bratva? From men who've been hunting for decades? He crossed to me, gripping my shoulders. There's no running, Elena. There's only surviving. And the only way you survive is under my protection. So we're prisoners again. You were never prisoners. You were protected. There's a difference. His hand slid up to cut my face, and for a moment, I saw the crack in his armor. But now that protection comes with a price. What price? Marriage. The word hit like a physical blow. What? Alexei Kozlov respects nothing except strength and tradition. If you're my woman, you're a target. But if you're my wife, his eyes burned into mine, your family, untouchable by the old codes. And Sophia becomes my legitimate daughter, protected by name and blood. You can't be serious. I've never been more serious. His thumb traced my jaw. I'm not asking for love, Elena. I'm asking for survival. Marry me. And I swear on my father's grave that no one will ever hurt you or Sophia again. And if I refuse? His expression hardened. Then I'll put you both in protective custody in a safe house with armed guards until the war is over. Which could take months, years, and Sophia will grow up in a cage, watching the world through bulletproof glass. It wasn't a choice. It had never been a choice. You're forcing me. I'm protecting you the only way I know how. His voice dropped. I told you weeks ago, I protect what's mine, and you're mine, Elena. You became mine the moment you helped my father. The moment you let me kiss you, the moment you drew me into your family. This is insane. This is our world, and you're already in it. This just makes it official. I thought of Sophia, her innocent drawings and butterfly room and belief that monsters could smile if you showed them how. I thought of Mikhail's final words to me the day before he died. Take care of my son. He needs you more than he knows. I thought of Dante, the broken boy beneath the killer's mask, the man who'd murdered to protect my daughter without hesitation. And I thought of my mother's voice. We survive, Mija, whatever it takes. Okay, I whispered. I'll marry you. Something flickered in his eyes. Relief, triumph, or maybe just exhaustion. Tomorrow. Private ceremony. Just family and witnesses. Tomorrow. That's necessary. Every day you're not officially mine is a day you're vulnerable. He pulled me against him, his arms wrapping around me like chains and comfort in equal measure. I know this isn't the fairy tale you wanted. I know I'm not the man you deserve, but I swear to you, I will keep you safe, both of you. Even if it costs me everything. Why? My voice broke. Why do we matter so much to you? Because you see me. He breathed against my hair. Really see me. Not the monster everyone fears or the king they obey. You see the man I could have been, the man I'm trying to be. And Sophia. His voice cracked. Sophia drew me smiling. Like I was someone worth loving. No one's looked at me like that since Irina died. I pulled back to look at him, seeing the truth written in every harsh line of his face. This man who'd killed and threatened and destroyed. He was also terrified. Terrified of losing what little humanity he had left. Terrified of failing another person he cared about. I can't promise to love you, I said honestly. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I'm not asking for love. I'm asking for a chance. His forehead pressed against mine. Give me a chance to be more than what I am. Okay, a chance. He kissed me then. Not with desperate passion, but with something deeper, darker, more permanent. A claiming, a vow. A promise sealed in blood and necessity. When he pulled back, his eyes had hardened again. Victor will guard your rooms tonight. Tomorrow wear white. Katerina has a dress prepared. After the ceremony, we'll announce the marriage to the families. Some will object. Most will accept. Anyone who doesn't... His smile was all teeth. Will learn why you don't challenge a Volkov. That night, I lay awake in my bed. Soon to be our bed. Staring at the ceiling. Trying to process the surreal reality. Tomorrow I would marry a man I feared and was beginning to understand. A man who killed without remorse, but protected with absolute devotion. A man who was teaching me that monsters could choose to be human if someone believed in them enough. Sophia stirred in her bed across the room. Mama? Yes, baby? Are we going to stay here forever? Forever. Such a big word for such a small person. Would you like that? I think so. It's safe here. And Mr. Dante? He's not scary anymore. He's just sad. Like you were when Abuela died, out of the mouths of children. Go to sleep, sweetheart. Tomorrow is a big day. What kind of day? A new beginning. The wedding happened at dawn in the estate's private chapel, with Katerina and Victor as witnesses and a priest who'd been on the Volkov payroll for decades. I wore a simple white dress that fit perfectly, my hair loose around my shoulders, no veil to hide behind. Dante wore black, as always, his face unreadable as I walked down the short aisle alone. No father to give me away, no guests to celebrate, just the two of us, making vows that were equal parts truth and necessity. Do you, Elena Morales, take this man? I do. Do you, Dante Volkov, take this woman? I do. His voice was steel and silk. The rings, platinum bands engraved with Russian words I didn't understand, slid onto our fingers like shackles or salvation, depending on how you looked at it. You may kiss your bride. Dante's kiss was possessive, claiming, a public declaration that I belonged to him now. When he pulled back, his eyes held dark promise. Mine, he murmured against my lips. Forever mine. Forever, I echoed, sealing my fate. The announcement went out within the hour. By noon, the entire underworld knew Dante Volkov had taken a wife. The Kozlov Bratva's response came at sunset. A severed rose delivered to the gate with a note in Russian. Katerina translated, her face grim. Enjoy your wedding night. It may be your last. Dante read it without expression, then handed it to Victor. Double the guards. No one enters without full clearance. And send a message to Alexei. Tell him if he wants war, I'll bring it to his doorstep. That night, our wedding night, Dante came to my room. Our room now. Sophia was asleep in the adjacent nursery that had been prepared, guards posted outside. He stood in the doorway, still dressed, looking at me like I was something precious and terrifying. I don't expect, he started. I know. This doesn't have to be. I know that too. Silence stretched. Then, are you afraid of me? I considered the question honestly. Sometimes, but not right now. He crossed to me slowly, carefully, giving me time to retreat if I wanted. When he reached me, his hands were gentle on my face. I've done terrible things, Elena. I'll do more terrible things to keep you safe. I need you to accept that. I accept who you are. I married you, didn't I? You married a necessity, maybe at first. I covered his hands with mine, but somewhere along the way, you became more than that. You became Dante. Just Dante. Not the killer or the king, just a man trying to survive. Like me, something broke in his expression. I don't know how to be just a man, then we'll figure it out together. He kissed me then, and this time it wasn't about claiming or possession. It was about two broken people finding something like peace in each other's arms. When he carried me to the bed, when he touched me with surprising tenderness, when he whispered my name like a prayer, I understood that we were both captives of this life, this choice, this impossible love growing in the spaces between fear and trust. Later, with dawn painting the sky and Dante sleeping beside me, I heard Sophia's voice in the next room, talking to herself as she drew. I slipped from bed, wrapped in a robe, and found her at her little desk, creating another masterpiece. What are you drawing, baby? She held it up proudly. Our family. That's you. That's me. And that's Papa Dante. Papa Dante. She'd claimed him as father without ceremony or legality, with the simple faith of a child who saw goodness where adults saw only danger. I knelt beside her. Is that what you want? For him to be your papa? He protects us. He makes you smile when you think I'm not looking. And he lets me sit on his shoulders when we walk in the garden. She added a son to her drawing. Papas protect their families. That's what he does. When I returned to bed, Dante was awake, staring at the ceiling. Sophia calls you Papa, I said softly. His jaw clenched. I heard. Does that bother you? It terrifies me. He turned to look at me, vulnerability naked on his face. What if I fail her? What if I can't be what she needs? You already are. You just have to keep choosing to be. He pulled me against him, his arms tight, his face buried in my hair. I never wanted this. A family. The risk of losing someone again. But now that I have it, his voice broke. I'll burn the world before I let anything hurt you, either of you. I know, that doesn't frighten you. Everything about you frightens me. But I'm staying anyway. His laugh was soft, disbelieving. You're either the bravest woman I've ever met, or the most foolish. Maybe both. We lay there as dawn fully broke, two people who'd found each other in the darkest circumstances, building something fragile and fierce out of necessity and choice. The war with the Kozlov Bratva lasted 6 months. There was blood, as Dante had promised. Violence. Loss. But through it all, he kept us safe. Sophia and I hidden behind walls of steel and loyalty, protected by men who'd die before they let harm reach us. When it finally ended, when Alexei Kozlov was found dead in his mansion, a message written in blood above his body, Dante came home covered in that blood, exhausted and victorious and still so broken. I cleaned him without questions, drew him a bath, held him while he shook with reaction to everything he'd done, everything he'd become. "It's over," I whispered. "You won." Did I? His eyes were haunted. Or did I just become my father? Your father protected his family, so did you. That's not a sin, isn't it? I took his face in my hands, making him look at me. You are a killer. You are ruthless. You are dangerous. But you are also the man who reads Sophia bedtime stories, who makes sure I eat when I forget, who keeps his father's drawings on every wall to remember how to be human. You are all of it, Dante. Light and dark. Monster and man. And I choose all of it. Why? The word was anguished. Why would you choose this? Choose me? Because you chose us. When you could have killed me that first night, you chose protection instead. When you could have sent us away, you chose to keep us close. When you could have stayed a monster, you chose to try being something more. I kissed him softly. You gave Sophia a father. You gave me safety. You gave yourself a family. That's not nothing. He kissed me then with desperation and devotion, pulling me into his lap, his hands tangling in my hair. I love you. He breathed against my mouth. God help me, I love you. Both of you. I know. And I did. I'd known for weeks, seen it in every protective gesture, every soft look at Sophia, every time he fought his nature to be gentle with us. Say it back, please. It was the please that broke me. This man who commanded armies, who inspired fear with a glance, begging for 3 words. I love you too, Dante, even though I shouldn't, even though it's insane. I love you. His smile was blinding, transforming his face into something almost beautiful. Say it again. I love you. Again. I love you, Dante Volkov, my husband, my monster, my man. He carried me to bed, and this time when we came together, it wasn't about necessity or survival. It was about love. Complicated, dangerous, impossible love that had grown in the darkest soil and bloomed despite everything. 2 years later, I stood in the garden watching Sophia chase butterflies while her baby brother, Mikhail, named for his grandfather, slept in my arms. Dante stood beside me, his hand on the small of my back, his face softer than I'd ever imagined it could be. Happy? He asked. I looked at our children, our home, our life built from ashes and choices and desperate faith. Terrifyingly happy. Good. He kissed my temple. Because you're stuck with me now, Mrs. Volkov. No escape. Who says I want to escape? His smile was real now, not the weapon he showed the world, but the genuine article. Earned through time and trust and love that shouldn't have been possible. I was a monster, he said quietly. You made me human again. You were always human. You just forgot for a while. Sophia ran up, grabbing Dante's hand. Papa, come see. I found a blue butterfly. He let her pull him away, this man who ruled an empire with an iron fist, but melted for a 6-year-old's butterfly. And I understood that we'd all saved each other. I'd saved Mikhail by giving him dignity in death. Mikhail had saved me by bringing me into this family, and Dante and I had saved each other by choosing, every single day, to be more than our circumstances demanded. The first day at work, I'd saved a disabled man, unaware he was the Mafia boss's father. I'd also saved myself by stepping into a world I didn't understand, and finding, against all odds, a home, a family, a love fierce enough to survive anything. Even a monster learning to smile,